is Paul Pasolka, Ivy Masters Learning Center and ivymasters.com. And today we're going to look at Test 5, Section 4, number 23. Shout out to my Thursday 6 to 8 class for asking this question. And we read, the Towson Realty Group invested in 5 different properties listed in the table above. The table shows the amount in dollars the company paid for each property and the corresponding monthly rental price in dollars the company charges for the property at each of the 5 locations. And you want to investigate the table, the chart, the graph, whatever it may be, before you go to answer the questions. Why? The biggest mistake students will make is they'll start looking at the question, looking at the answer choices before they really understand what's going on in that table. So we look at the title. Sure enough, we have Towson Realty Group Investments. We look at the columns. We've got property address, we've got purchase price, we've got monthly rental price. And you can see the property addresses down that left column, purchase price in the middle, monthly rental price on the right. So we go to the actual question number 23, which reads, the relationship between the monthly rental price R in dollars and the property's purchase price P in thousands of dollars can be represented by a linear function. Which of the following functions represents the relationship? So one thing, students sometimes they see the word function and they freak out. Don't freak out. The function, it's all this is, pay attention to this, linear. It's equation of a line. This is y equals mx plus b. You learn this in Algebra 1. The other thing, now this you got to watch out for, is it says thousands. Now sometimes that could be the difference between the right and the wrong answer. And that's the College Board's way of saying, hey, we're going to tell you, we're going to underline this, and you're still going to miss it. Most students, even though stuff is underlined, they'll miss the stuff that's underlined. And then remember the other important information you want to underline as well, rental prices R, purchase prices P. So which one's my X and which one's my Y between my R and my P? Well, usually you don't make an X, you don't make a YX chart, you make an XY chart. So let's make sure that that corresponds. So purchase price is P, as it says up here. And sure enough, when you go to your answer choices, the P is what the numbers are attached to. So you know that that's your X because a number is always attached to your X for your slope. And then monthly rental price is your R. The R is alone, so that is your R or your Y. See, it corresponds with Y, and Y equals mx plus b. Okay, so in other words, if I just took this answer choice A, R of P, that's just your Y, equals 2.5 P. So 2.5 is your slope. P is another way of saying X for this problem. And you can see that your y-intercept is negative 870, just so you know. Whenever you look at a linear equation, there's 2 components. There's slope and y-intercept. You might ask yourself, hey, what's easier for me to find, slope or y-intercept? Well, to find y-intercept for these, it's going to be a pain in the butt, but I know that I could do one thing to find the slope. And let's look at, maybe we'll look at some simpler values here. We'll look at some smaller values to find slope. We'll look at these 2. And remember your formula, again, Algebra 1, you might need a refresher on this. Slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so I'm going to use this as y2, y1. I'm going to use this as x2 and x1, and it's not a bad idea to label it like that because, just in case you don't make, just to make sure you don't make a mistake. So now we get that your slope equals 950 y2 minus y1 minus 515 over x2 minus x1, 128, not 128,000, but 128, because remember it's in thousands of dollars, minus 70. And then, now when you're plugging into your calculator, I've got a TI-34. This is a simple calculator to use. I'd say the most user-friendly calculator on the market. If you're calculator savvy, TI-84, you could even hit a YouTube video and say, hey, TI-84, hacks for the SAT, and you'll see that there's some ways that you could like pretty much cheat the test if you're really good with your calculator. So for this one, there's just a little n over d button, and all I'm going to do is plug 950 minus 515 into the top of the fraction. And then in the bottom of the fraction, I'm going to plug 128 minus 70. If you don't do this, then I would recommend doing 950 minus 515, enter, 128 minus 70, enter, and then divide from there. But what you wind up getting in that case is 7.5. So I'm going to write a 7.5 here. Now, you could do that same thing with TI-84, that n over d button, but it's a little more complicated to get to it. You'd have to go to math, then you have to go right to number, and then you go up and you have your n over d button. And then once again, you could plug in and you could see everything you want to make. When you plug it in, make it look exactly as it looks written. So you have 7.5. So we need a slope of 7.5. Notice answer choice D is the only one that has a slope of 7.5. And you're done. Now, is there another way to do this? You bet your bottom dollar there is. I would not recommend doing it the second way I'm going to show because it's more time consuming, but you could certainly do it this way. So you could take any one of these coordinates, let's say I take this one, and I could plug it into each of the answer choices and just see if it works. And so let's say I'm just going to, for time's sake, plug it into answer choice A, and then I'm going to plug it into answer choice D. And again, with your calculator, you could say R of P equals, answer choice A, 2.5, and then in place of P you could put your purchase price. So I just circled 176, then minus 870. So we're going to see if that works, and you may be able to see already that it's going to be a negative value, and if you do, then eliminate that answer and move on. So now I do 2.5 times 176 minus 870, and I wind up with negative 430. Well, if I plug 176 in, what I'm looking for is 1310. It doesn't work. And you could eliminate any answer choice that doesn't work for, and then if you plug it into answer choice D, you're going to see that that works. And you can do this anytime you're given coordinates and an equation. Plug the coordinates into the equation. And so what we'd have here is we'd have R of P equals 7.5, and in place of P I would put my purchase price, which is 176, and then minus 10. And if I do my 7.5 times 176, subtract 10, sure enough I get 1310, which is what I'm looking for as my Y, or my R of P. Thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, click like. You can share it with someone who has trouble with linear equations or tables or word problems like this. And click subscribe so you don't miss anything. If you have any question about any PSAT or SAT or ACT, any official test, leave it in the comments. I'd be happy to shoot a video on it. Have a great day, everybody.